Awesome. Any other good news or anything else before we jump into Julia's question? All right. Julia, what do you got?
Okay, this is asking from an architectural and resource efficiency perspective on flows. If, let's say, I have a custom object, I'm creating a record, I'm updating some fields asynchronously, and then I have another object that um, is related to that one that's getting updated. Should I make a decision at the top of the second one, but it still has to enter right into the second flow? Or should I make a parent flow that calls, number one in certain situation and number two, so that it doesn't always have to enter number two? I'm just trying to ask from a logistic standpoint, what is the better way? Or maybe they're both good.
I'm not sure I followed it.
Let's see. Okay, what questions do you have?
So let me do this. Let me say it back, and then we'll see if I understand this. So you have two objects. Just for argument's sake, let's call it. Can we just say it's accounts and contacts, just as like a parent
Yes, sure.
object and like a child object, right? So what you're saying is that, for example, when an account record is created, you have a record triggered flow that's going to do some kind of updates against the account. And when you do those updates on the account, you're saying it's following the asynchronous path in the flow.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So basically it's updating, let's say, the user's information, like the user role. Okay. But the second object requires that understanding who the user is before going into that flow to do some other updates. So should it be a decision criteria at the top saying if your user role is XYZ, then go through here, but it still has to enter the second one, right? Because it has to like trigger the record has to be triggered and give the dollar record information here. So it's still entering at the entry criteria because I can't set it at the entry criteria. You can't reach the user information.
Yeah. So again, if we keep this with the example of like accounts and contacts, you're saying the one of your flows is updating, let's just say like a field on the account, like type, but you're saying your second flow is kind of based off of that account type being populated or
Exactly.
available. Yeah.
Right.
And when the account type is populated, then you want another record triggered flow to run on account that's then going to update all the related contacts and set their type to match the account type or something like that. Right.
Yes. You got it.
So with that, Ryan, what do you think?
I mean, if I'm hearing it right, and that's again where I was just, I think you captured it. I don't think I heard Julia say it, but another record triggered flow that will run and just set those entry criteria to only happen once that async update happens. And that's how I would do it. I would pull it out. I wouldn't try to do it in the same flow where I'm doing async stuff.
Yeah, we do have it set up twice. We do have them set up separately. I think the question is, do we make it the decision here on the second one, or do we create a whole third flow, which is a parent calling on these two subflows, which is
And
a
that's
better.
that's where I'm not quite following on the solutions you're proposing. I don't quite see how they tie.
So
I'm sure it's
uh,
just me not seeing the whole thing.
so I think I understand what you're saying here. So what your question gets down to is there's some updates that need to be made, some like logic that you want to process in your flow. So the question is, do you bake that into the flow under a decision block? Like, hey, if this criteria is set up, go and do all this logic, or is it if the decision block is true, do you just call a subflow? So in other words, like all that logic, do you put that in the main flow, or do you separate that out as a auto launch flow and then call it from your other flow? Is that kind of what you're
Correct.
getting at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. So let me
Exactly.
let me simplify and distill this and just see if this is your question, and then we can open it up for feedback. So in other words, if you're architecting your flows in your Salesforce org and you have in this scenario on account, when an account is created, you need to do three very distinct operations. Would you include that all as part of a flow with all the logic and like branching decision trees? Or would you have the decision blocks there and then each one of them would actually call a subflow to actually do the work? And is there any benefit from one or the other, either from a maintenance or a performance perspective?
Correct. You got it.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not good at
No,
establishing the
no.
question.
That's fine. Asking and making sure we understand, and the communication part which Bill's
Yes.
great at is
Yes.
is important.
Because we're having this debate. I think one thing and the developer thinks another, but I just wanted to see from an overall
I'll
perspective, what
volunteer
do
that
people suggest?
there are varying schools of thought. There was the always have the one master. It seems like that's been gotten away from, especially now with Flow Trigger Explorer, and you can actually see your different triggers and you can order them, and you can make, if you're writing really tight entry criteria, I've switched camps and am now in the have your separate flows with their separate entry criteria that fire when they need to fire. I came from that original camp, which I think was a leftover from process builder days and how we deal with Apex of have one. So you're still going to encounter lots of people in that camp. I just saw a lot of, there's a really good LinkedIn article that, or post that Andy Utkin did one day, and it had a lot of good, the conversations on it are really good, of people coming back and forth and explaining why and their thought, and then also at a I think at a Dreamin' event, watching a presentation again from Andy, where he was really showing Flow Trigger Explorer and how it works and how, so that just kind of convinced me. And then when you go out and look in the architect guide, they open it up and they say, you can do it this way or this way. They no longer say, do it this way. Now it says, or, and then just seeing all the conversations, I just got convinced that if you're going to use a tightly controlled entry criteria, because we can order our flows and we can really make them do what we want now, I think it's good. I think it works, but you have to have everybody on board with that. And you have to really have good, tight entry criteria. So that's why I switched personally. But you are going to see people in both camps.
I can't eliminate it entering into that flow first and then hitting decision. I wish I could set it at the entry criteria, but again, like I said, you can't reach the user information through entry criteria.
You can in a formula. If you use formula as your entry condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so should I create a formula then from the entry criteria then?
Right. Well, decisions don't let us do that yet, but entry criteria do, right? So
yeah. So this is like, I guess, Julia, like who's going to be maintaining the different flows? So like I do different things with different clients where sometimes I'll deliberately avoid having like a big complex entry condition formula, because whoever might be like coming after me to maintain, or if I'm like putting it to one of the juniors on my team, they might not be able to understand it, and they just want like, drop down buttons and then a decision, and it's a lot simpler for them. But if you're like in a workplace where everyone like is pretty confident with formulas, can make sense of it all, and you want to make it like as small as possible, then you can do that.
There's also I recently discovered a disadvantage to the entry formula is that when you use that whole, the where is this used button, it doesn't look at the formulas. So if you're trying to figure out where something is to track whatever down, if you're using it as an entry formula, it won't show up on that list.
Yeah, but then the other positive is that the flow won't initialize if the formula isn't true, whereas you're going to be running the flow every single time this record. So depending on the volume,
that's what I think he's having the problem with, is the initialization. Right now, I think he's okay with me initializing it and going through a decision and stopping right there. But I was just wanting to know from a
like how many records would you be creating at a time?
Quite a bit. Thousands. I'm talking a lot.
Like in imports, like instantly creating thousands at a time?
Oh, not an import. No, not instantly. By user, depending on the day.
So user in a single day could be creating thousands?
There could be several thousand users, yes.
Oh, okay.
Going through that initialization, yes.
All right. Yeah, I mean, well, if they're all only creating like a single record at a time, I think, you're not really going to notice any performance impact. Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
There's a few things that we kind of just said, and we kind of glanced over them, but I'm not sure if everybody on the call is exactly familiar with what we were talking about. So I just want to take a quick moment to go through a quick example, because this is, I heard something here that I've never actually done before. So I just want to kind of make sure I understand this. So I'm in one of my Trailhead playgrounds right now, and I just went into flows and I clicked on new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on record triggered flow. So this is like an account's created. We're going to do something in the entry criteria, check, some kind of state, and then we're going to make some changes whenever an account's created, right? So I think what I heard here is that if I were to go in here and I wanted to say, I only want this to run when an account is created if the account owner has a Q in their name, whatever it is, like something based on the account owner. So I think what you're telling me is that if I went here for the conditions, there's no way for me to actually select those fields from the related object. Like I can see owner ID in here if I scroll here. There you go. I can see owner ID, but I can't get to like owner and then like first name or something like that. So what I heard was, in theory, I'm going to set this back to none right now, and I just want to take this moment to express how I hate the fact that I can't just click save.
Bill, I
So-
think it's rather than like the owner, it's the running user.
Well, okay, so let's just say the running user. So if the running user, I want to check that the person that created this account, some kind of criteria, I can't get to that as part of this condition here. That's what we're saying still, right? So what I would have to do is I would create a new resource, create a formula, and say running.
No, not like this.
No.
Okay, what am
in
I
your
doing?
entry condition,
Your
just close
entry,
out of it. Yeah, so in the condition requirements, formula
Okay,
evaluates
so
the
that's
true.
what I was missing. Okay, so you're
But we
saying in
can't do that in
here.
decisions at this point.
Okay, so in here I would say $user would represent the running user. So that's where I can test that I only want to run this. And again, this is a bad example, but where the first name is equal to Bill or something like that, right? And the operator, do we do double equals here? No, it's just equals.
I don't think you have to.
Yeah, either one will work. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so I check that syntax. Okay, so that's what you're talking about where I can check it. Can't do it in the standard, the and or the ors, but you can actually build a formula. Okay, so that's what I was missing. I was thinking you were actually creating a formula over here. Okay, that's good to know. If you can do it in the formula, why can't you do it in the end? I mean, that's silly. Okay. All right.
So
any
you're saying
other?
dollar, just clarify, so dollar user will access the current running user of the record
Correct.
Yeah,
as the
just
entry
to
criteria.
and just to put
Okay,
a finer
maybe
point
I'll
on
do
that.
that instead.
Yeah, just to put a finer point on that. So when we look at $user, that is the current running user, the person that caused this flow to execute. When we look at $user role, that is the role of the current person that caused this flow to execute, so the current running user. $record, for those that aren't aware, that is the record that has actually been changed. So in other words, if this is on a record triggered flow when an account is created, $record represents that account that was created. And then profile, very similar to the user role, where that gets you the current running user's role. This will get you the current running user's profile. API is not as helpful for just your standard stuff. That there's some things in there, but that's I can't think of a compelling reason to use that right now. Organization lets you get to the organization details, like when you go to your company information page and you have your organization address and name and things like that. Think of the use case here. Like, let's just say that you were you had a record triggered flow when an account is created. You wanted to send an email to the account owner, and you wanted to include like a signature line that had the organization contact details. If you hard coded that into the email template in that record triggered flow that you're creating, and the organization address changes, well, now you got to go and update all your flows. So instead, you might just reference the organization details, like the billing address and things. And that way, if it ever changes on that company information page, it's already going to update all your, like, you don't have to worry about updating all your flows. It's just referencing that information. Yeah. But those are what those $sign variables are that you have there. Global variables, I think. Yeah, global variables is the name of that.
Just want to add one thing in there. So with organization, there's a field called is sandbox, but you can't reference it from the global variable organization. So you can't like run or not run a flow from the entry criteria. So then you need to do a get records on organization so that you can then reference the is sandbox. So if there's certain things which shouldn't be running in your sandboxes, but prod, you can do that.
So you're telling me that I can't access that through the entry criteria, but if I were to go here and do organization, do a get on the organization, then I would be able to reference is sandbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's various other gotchas out there too, but
yeah.
Okay, that's lame. But let's see here. So you're saying if I do that, and then if I were to throw in a decision block here, well, I guess before I do that, why is that red? Did I miss something?
Yeah, just gonna say like find all or like no criteria. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Again, I always want to hit that save. Just this, I can't stand that pop out
too.
window. How do you spell decision, folks? Decision. There we go. Okay, so then you're saying that in here, I should be able to go to organization, and then there's something about sandboxes here. It's sandbox. Okay, so you can access it here, but you can't access it in the global variable.
Yeah, kind of frustrating.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of lame.
It
But
took me a
still
long
kinda
while. Like
useful.
I was looking at all the developer references. I'm just like, this is a field. Like, why can't I find it? And yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
it's a
Steven,
waste
do you
of
ever
time.
just try to just type it in and see that it works or doesn't work?
No,
Because you
I
know how
have
you
not.
can access custom metadata
Yeah.
through the global variables, but you can't through the dropdown. I wonder. I haven't tried, and that might not be something we want to do on this call, but something I think I'm
Okay.
going to go play with later.
Yeah, interesting idea. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna just copy that field name. We're gonna cancel
Okay,
this
or we
thing.
can do it on this call.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're already here,
Let's
right?
see.
So let's see what it is. So we're saying that if we were to go to, let's get rid of that for a sec. So in the entry
Something else
criteria,
then.
organization dot, and if I just paste it as sandbox, like that.
Okay, confirmed. Doesn't work. Thank you for trying it.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Okay, well, good to know. All right, anybody have any questions on either the original question or global variables, or how the fact that you can access fields from one spot but not the other is lame? Does anybody want to discuss that further? All right, Julia, I hope that helps. I know we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but I hope that helps with what you were trying to do.
Very much. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
All right. Let's see. So Sean, I see you have a hand up. What do you got?
Yes, I have a question about visual experience. I can walk you through what I'm doing. Mainly it's just access into the login. I realize that you had to make like a customer account or a portal account, but I don't know if it's restricted to just those two.
So let me say that back to you. So you are creating a digital experience, what used to be called like a community, where
Yes.
you can access it. Like it's not your standard Salesforce user, like interface. You're logging into it like an external portal community type of thing. What type of users would you anticipate kind of logging into this? Is it supposed to be open to everybody, or is it like customers, partners? Like what is
Right
it?
now I have it for guests not logging in, but guests visiting it.
Mhm.
And then login. Ideally, I'd want two logins. Right now, I do have one login for contact customer. I didn't realize it, but it seems like there can only be certain ways to set it up. I don't think they let it for all. Like I don't think you can create your own profile and have it for a custom object.
Let me ask the question slightly differently. In a perfect world, not thinking about technology whatsoever for a second, but what is the persona of the people that
Oh,
should be
sorry.
logging into this? Yeah, like is it
Guests shouldn't log in, but volunteers will be able to log in and coordinators / staff. Right now, I do have it set up for a volunteer in a roundabout way, which I probably won't change because I'd have to change it pretty much everything. But right now, I have a contact that can log in, like from Salesforce itself.
hmm,
They just click on the there's a tab that you can click on, and it would take them right to their login from the contact.
yeah. All right. So first question is anybody on this call an expert on Experience Cloud? Because I
And
know enough to be dangerous, but
I can share too. Is a demo org, so.
yeah. See.
Uh,
If anybody didn't know, MT Office Hours, where you can sign up for military Trailblazer office hours, is built on a Salesforce community, and that's about the extent of me being dangerous with Experience Cloud. So
All I can
yeah,
do is fix pages.
So I have this It does take me out of the. I forget I had to make several tabs. It takes me from the Salesforce tab.
So when you go to the community, you want folks that have been configured as like volunteers to be able to log into that community, right?
Yeah. Yes, that would be good. Right now, I just have it where there's a contact. I didn't know how to do this. And then this person has a tab, and they can go log into user. I mean, experience user, and it takes them directly to the website.
Well,
So
okay.
that person can go directly to your website and log in then.
Okay. How do you do? But then I guess my next question is, how would I do it for like another person? Like, let's say I wanted like a coordinator, or I guess a user. In this case, this person's a contact. Would I have to make another contact, or use a user, or?
When that contact got turned into a portal user, they created a user. If you go look, you're going to see a user record for that person too.
Yes, I didn't make that. Um, where it went?
I mean, that login as user is more of an easy way for you as the admin to log in as them and see what they see on the portal.
But if they don't have a user account, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yes, no, this person does have a user. I guess my next question is like, how would I set up another user? Would I just have to make another contact, or would I think one of the limits, the way I understand it, one of the limits to digital experience is that you have to have like customer account or partner account. I don't think you can have others.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think you can.
you're going to need
I don't think you.
licenses for the users, yes. And in your dev org, you're not going to have the licenses because you can only have so many active users.
So you have this user here, but right now I'm having this person as a contact, which is really a volunteer. This one, that's the only way I can think I can configure it. I don't think I can be like volunteer object in that. I think I had to put it as contact. But what
So Joe Blow, oops, sorry, gosh dang it, sorry, I'm cooking.
Joe Blow's a volunteer, but I would like someone else like the manager of the food pantry. This is a food pantry project, but whoever actually works internally to log in too. I don't know how to do two users. Like,
Yeah, so Sean, my understanding is so on Experience Cloud, I'd have to try to find the reference for this and I could share it to you. But my understanding was
okay.
that there's a couple different types of users that can log into an Experience Cloud site. So when I think about that customer community user, the use case there is like I am running my organization on Salesforce. I'm exposing some kind of content to my customers, so I can make a login for them where they can log into that experience and see their data or stuff like that, right? Similar
Yes.
use case for partners where I'm referring business to a partner and I want to be able to show them like what accounts I've referred to them. They can log in and see that. But my understanding is that there is a world where you can have just community login users that are independent of like the customer and the partner experience.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting.
Guest
Kind of.
users.
What is that?
Guest users. If you have a guest user that doesn't have an actual account, you could do it that way. I gotta go
Well,
feed my child.
Yeah, but this
guest
would
user.
be not guest users, but these would actually be like logins for the community that
the
are
person can
named
still.
users. So for example, if you were to click new user right here, just to see this, and then again,
Okay.
we might have to get some more research here. But if you were to go to the profile, actually for the user license, if you hit the drop down there. So
This is a dev org too, so I don't know if that.
Yeah, you're going to run out of users.
Yeah.
You might have to
yeah,
deactivate Joe Blow or some others to do this. But
Yeah, what I was looking at though, I thought that there was like a standalone license type that was like community license type. Like it was like a standalone user license, and then it had specific profiles that you can create around that. But authentication for digital experiences, that might be something that that we had to do a little more research because I am definitely not the expert on that.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that I ran into is I wasn't for sure how to do that.
But what I heard is you want this internal user to be able to use the portal as well. And if you log in as them, you should be able to just, as long as you've set up the experience site to allow their profile, you should be
Yeah,
able
I'm
from
pretty sure
internal
they
to
can
just go
log
there.
in. They would just go log in here. And log in. Right now they're actually are logged in. Also too, like I have these knowledge articles, but they're not showing up. Like it's there, but you can't see anything.
Well, they might
Yeah.
not have the permissions.
Yeah, knowledge gets a little tricky, so you're gonna want to research on that, but you probably have to set
Okay.
them up. You might need to set them as a knowledge user.
Because I did put knowledge in here. This was like checkbox.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like again, the knowledge is kind of a whole separate animal in and of
Really is.
itself. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I've ever seen anybody that had knowledge fully set up and configured and was actively using it in a Salesforce work. Like I've seen
Maybe I,
demonstrations of it, but I've never seen anybody actually use it.
We set it up and we're
Okay.
using it at a client where I used to work. I can say it. They'd
But-
love you to go out to their site. I just won't say who the we was. But NASA has a really good for their STEM program for their for youth who want to get into STEM stuff and do internships and other stuff. And they use knowledge articles to really explain to you how's the program work? What do I need to do? And then also when cases come in, our their internal folks there will turn those cases into knowledge articles to help the internal users.
Got it. Yeah, and I see Megan just put a reference in there. Yeah, I think Sean,
you.
the challenge is the authentication security for Experience Cloud is just not something I'm 100% familiar with.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we'll have to take a look at that reference that Megan put in there, and then I'm going to try to find I remember there was one Trailhead module that I had gone through that kind of spoke to that as well, where you're kind of building like that external authenticated user login to a Experience Cloud site. So I'll see if I can dig that up as
Okay.
well.
Yeah, that makes sense because I was like, what do you do if they don't really fit partner or customer? And then I was like, there has to be another way to do this, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the final thought on this. There's some I'm just going to throw buzzwords out there. So I know this isn't going to be very helpful, but I know there's like high volume login licenses. Then there's like identity licenses, and all these things can kind of play into that how you would log into these experiences. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm just not an expert on that.
It might be limited on the dev work too.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
you
so and
you
the other thing too
get.
is maybe take a peek at one of your playgrounds from Trailhead, because I know the capabilities that you get for a playground versus what you would get through just a developer.salesforce.com org that you would sign up for. They're a little different. And then there's also, and I'm going to try to dig this up as well. There's a website that kind of has a list of like the different types of Salesforce demo orgs that you can spin up, or trial orgs that you can spin up, and each of those has different capabilities as well. So for example, when you go through certain badges on Trailhead, they might say like, when you do the super badge, sign up for this specific org because it has like Tableau CRM enabled, or it has, whatever the thing is that's part of that super badge. So I remember there being a site that had like a list of those, and maybe there's something in there that's got, community focused licenses like pre-configured that might be helpful. So I'll see if I can find that.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like I've been unhelpful completely on this one. So hopefully Scott's got a question that I actually know something about. Let's see. Scott, what do you got? I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, sound's not coming.
You watch it. There's going to be a question like on CPQ or like something weird. Let's see.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
No.
No,
We can hear you.
God. Oh, you
But-
can hear me.
Yes.
No,
You
I
can't
can't
hear
hear you.
us.
Okay, let me fix this.
Is the question on Zoom audio? Let's see.
There we go. Now you can hear me and I can hear you. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that. So simple, straightforward question. When sending an email alert from a flow, whether through the send email action or setting up a send an email like through an email alert, is there a way to put someone on the CC line rather than the to line?
I have absolutely no idea. So why don't we jump into a flow? This is what kind of flow is this? Like a record triggered flow?
Record trigger flow, yeah.
All right, so
I
let's dork
I
around
think
with
you've
this
got
for
to
those
use
that might not be familiar.
the send better email from unofficial SF if you want to do
Right,
that.
not native to Salesforce though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I'm thinking.
That's
So I typically do
absolutely
it
lame.
for, like,
Are you kidding me?
BCC as well.
Yeah,
That can't be true. That's horrible.
I
You
know,
tell me
right?
you mean tell me if I go into a record triggered flow that I'm not gonna be able to put somebody on a CC line?
Yeah, it's all on the to line. That's all I can figure out.
All right, let's see this. You're saying if I were to go in here and go to email,
Mm-hmm.
I have send email,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got recipient ID. But yeah, there's nothing in here that you're saying that I can actually attach this like a CC or anything like that.
Right, right. It's all when you go into the recipient ID, you can put as many email addresses as you want in there, but they're all going to be in the to line from what I've been able to figure out
Hmm.
in my own lizard brain.
All right, now Stephen, you had mentioned that there was another option here, right?
Yeah, the unofficial SF send better email package can handle it.
Unofficial SF send better email. So let's see if we can take a look at that real quick. So
Yeah.
here we go. It seems like such a basic thing when you send an email to be able to put addresses on the CC line. I mean, come on. All right, so this is now let's see. This is something that they have where you can obviously look in here BCC. That's cool. And how would you actually get access to this? Is this you have to install this as like an unmanaged package or something, or what is this thing?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's towards the bottom. There'll be like a hyperlink to click on. It might
It's
need
it's free.
yeah, it's free.
Okay.
But yeah, you might need like another package beforehand. Because
The
typically,
Flow
yeah,
Actions base pack.
Okay.
yeah, so you need the base pack first and then you do that. But yeah, just follow the links and
Okay,
they got
cool.
pretty good instructions.
Okay.
I'll try that out. Cool. Thank you, Steve.
No worries. But yeah, just double check like whoever your client is that they're okay for non-app exchange products in.
Right,
if
right.
they're
Okay.
super
Sure.
secret squirrel stuff, they might not be
Yeah.
happy, or
Right,
they need
right.
like if there's a big IT team review. Yeah, typically
No,
like I've got it in a lot of client
there's a
logs.
team of two, me and the IT guy.
Okay, yeah, we'll just run it by them, cover
Yeah,
your ass, just make
sure.
sure. But
For sure. Thank you.
Now
an
you
idea.
mentioned good.
Sorry.
Ryan, where you go?
No. There's an idea, and the update from Salesforce is from Alex, and it's use unofficial SF component as a workaround.
Okay.
That's your update from Salesforce on one of the two ideas out there that I found.
Now I'm just spitballing here, but imagine if Salesforce and all their revenue from last quarter that I saw and everything else, they just hired some folks from the unofficial SF team and they just started building some of this stuff.
Some of them do work for Salesforce and build this stuff.
Well-
Then it works its way into Salesforce Labs, and then it works its way into actual Salesforce, is what I've seen.
All right, let's see here. So you're saying the other option was to use an email alert, right? It's kind of
That's correct. And I didn't find anything in the email alert that would put it on the
it's the
CC
same
line.
thing. We got recipients and we got additional emails. I get, but that's going to put it on the 2 line, right?
Yeah, right. I've tested that out. It's all on the 2 line.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there
Let's
we
add
go.
that to our that's kind of lame list and go from there.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now just to confirm, the use case was just from sending it from flows. I'm just trying to think of like the other email functionality, like building email templates using like the new Lightning templates. I think that allows you to put BCC and CC, right?
Yeah, if you're
So-
sending emails from Salesforce, you can CC people, but just not through email
Not through
alerts
the
or flow.
automation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, just for those that might not be aware of this, I'll just throw this up on the screen real quick. So when I'm referring to like the email templates, if you just go into your app launcher here and you type in email templates, you'll see email templates. And then you can kind of build these email templates that if you're on an account or a contact and you're trying to use the send email functionality, you can actually use these. So you can kind of put the subject, So let's just do a test here. So test. We're gonna do this on account. And you can do letterhead, and then I'm assuming this is the body, but even that, I guess you have to get into the send screen before you can actually put anything in there for like the BCC or the CC. Okay. Yeah. That's it is what it is, I guess.
Sorry, we're 0 for 3 today.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any other questions or comments on this before we move on? Okay. Anybody have any other questions or topics they want to go through them? Open it back up. If nobody does,
I just
Yeah.
want to let you know, I put you all in there. I don't know who all is using person accounts. They're not searchable in list view. Just so you know. And now my client wants a workaround. So
when you say searchable in a list view, what does that mean? So if you were to go to like, what is
so
it?
it's they have a way to create an account for a user to be able to log in. And it's on Experience Cloud, but I didn't build this, so I can't help you guys with Experience Cloud stuff. So what, Ashley? Oh, sorry. So what happens is when they log in, they create an account. So they have a user account, they have a candidate account, and then they have a person account. That kind of ties them all together. Don't ask me why. This is just how they did it. But the problem is now when people get manually put into the system, they're put in as only like a person account. So once this candidate is in the list with all of the other candidates that went through the actual process that has a flow and builds everything out, you cannot search for them in the list view because they are not connected to a user. They are a person account, and person accounts are not searchable in list view. And I posted the little thing that Salesforce said about it. So it's just a heads up. If you're using them and you don't connect them and they're just person accounts, you cannot search them in list view.
That seems like a crazy limitation. And just
Here, I'll send you the actual thing for it.
Yeah, please do. And I'm going to say this out loud, and please correct me where I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've looked at person accounts. But for those that might not be aware, if you think about your kind of standard Salesforce setup where you have like accounts and contacts, I kind of think of that in my mind as that's like a B2B type setup, like business to business, where I have accounts like I don't know, Acme Incorporated, and under Acme Incorporated, I have a bunch of contacts that are like Jim Smith, Mary Peterson, whatever it is, right? And then if I'm thinking about like a B2C model where I'm trying to sell to individuals, that might be represented as a person account where it's like their account details and their person details are kind of blended in this this thing called a person account. Would that be a fair way to describe what a person account is, where it's like a person, but it's actually an account at the same time?
There's an account and a contact created.
Yep.
And you're supposed to be able to access some of those fields from the contact on the account. And so that may be it's not searchable. Have you tried searching through the contacts? I haven't read the post you sent yet, so I haven't.
So contacts is actually renamed as candidate. And so when you search through it, you can't find it. I can show it to you later. It's just, it's literally in Salesforce. I sent them the link that because they did it this way. So now we have to create a whole new flow for the people putting them in manually to create a new flow button so that when they create it, it hits all the flows it's supposed to and all the fill-ins so that they can search it. So right now what's happened is like a bunch of them have literally sent in paper applications and somebody sits at a desk, hand jams them, and then they're not searchable. Because they're not creating their account to access everything the way everybody else does. So in the system, doesn't register them in the same way. So what we think we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to backfill and associate them with everybody like individually. And then in the future, build them a button so that their guys sitting at the desk will actually do the same flow that the other person was doing. Although I think we should just make them access the flow and create an account for them and send them the account information. But this is the totem pole and this is me.
I like your idea for how they're doing it. It seems like it would make sense to just have them do it through there, but hey, I get it.
You do get it.
And Megan, just to be clear, that flow that they were using to create these, they're accessing that flow through the Experience Cloud?
Yes.
And you're saying that these are like internal users that are just like doing it, creating them directly through the Salesforce UI?
Yes.
Yeah, you would think you would be able to take that same exact flow and just put it through the standard Salesforce UI, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you
Interesting.
know. I will let
Yeah.
you know. It's on our sprint board right now, so I will let you know in the next couple weeks
I mean,
how
you-
we.
if they want to pay you, if they want to pay you to do more work when there's a simpler answer, that's on them.
Oh, they are. They're paying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their budget, not yours. So
I get new stuff every single day, but they're so chill about it all. They're just like, yeah, do whatever. Like, okay, yeah, sure, do that. But they need to make it easy. They have a lot of contractors in the office that do this stuff, and they're not, they still write everything down all the time on pen and paper.
we have a client that I always have to figure out how they're going to try to bypass what we built, and I have to try to think ahead to prevent them from doing it.
I have
So-
one right now that said they want to, their team wants to burn Salesforce to the ground instead of ever using it. And so, and because during change management, I'm sorry, because they didn't do change management and they left them with all their old tools, we can't get them to use the product we built.
So thinking about from Sandy's perspective about thinking ahead, if you have these folks that are like, I'm assuming that in the Experience Cloud, they're clicking a button that says like enter a new candidate or something, and it takes them to the flow, right? And then in the Salesforce UI, they're going to, what is it, contacts or like accounts and just clicking a new button there. So I wonder, can you override the new button to just take them directly? Is that a thing? Like override a button to take them directly to a screen flow?
Yes.
You
a
can
thing.
remove
Yes.
it. You can remove the button, but and then otherwise, like actually overriding all the standard buttons, it's like a big job, but you can actually remove new buttons and stuff like that from
And
So
then you
that's-
just make another new button and that'll look like it like
That,
the original button.
that is the plan right now.
Would you be
Okay.
able to just create an action and call that same flow?
It is a really, really, really big flow. I don't know. Brian has seen this flow.
I mean, if it works in Experience, I don't see why it wouldn't work in Salesforce proper.
Sometimes where
Probably.
you come at it from and where you're logged in matters, but I mean, we should be able to find it, and you should probably still be able to use that same flow.
Probably.
Starting point. You may need some variables you need to pass in, but
I have a really stupid question. Can you clone flows?
just go to save,
Yeah, just save
as
as.
and save as a new flow, and then rename your new flow. You've just cloned a flow.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, Steven.
Okay.
You were
So I want to ask a clarifying question, and then Matt, we'll jump over to your question. So what you're telling me is that when I'm looking at a list view, and again, just instead of me holding my hands up, like you guys can envision what I'm seeing in my head. Let me share my screen and I'll show you this. So what you're telling me is that if I were to go to, for example, the account object, we have the buttons here for like new and import. You're telling me I could create a screen-based flow, then create a button so that I can click on it that says like boom, and it would just open up my screen flow.
That's what we're going to try to build.
yes.
So not to get into the weeds and have it actually create records and all this kind of stuff, but if I were to just come in here and create a new screen-based flow, I just want to see what are the steps to actually do this in case folks on the call are finding this compelling that it'd be a cool thing to try. So if I just created a screen that had like a text on it that said like good job screen, whatever. And then over here, we're going to grab our display text and throw this on here. And it says, good job message. And it just says, you did a good job. Yay. Okay. So we save this. And I'm going to call this thing good job flow. Right. So I have my screen flow. We saved it. We activated it. Now, I want to have it as a button on the account. So what would be the steps to actually do this? I'm assuming I got to start in setup. Right?
Brian, walk me through it. Meredith is building this, not me.
So if I go to setup and I go to object manager, I'm assuming I got to start somewhere on the account object and maybe with an action, I guess it would be. I got to create a lightning action.
And
yeah, go to your button links actions. You should be able to make your new one here.
Okay, so this is
You
going
can
to
do
be
an action or a button. It depends how you want to do it. Do your action that calls your flow. That's fine.
all right. So there's I select flow as the action type. There's my flow. I'm going to give this a name. Tell I did a good job.
See where it says list view button layout down below on your
did I?
your panel of stuff on the side when you go back to Object Manager?
Yep. So I guess I can click back here. Over here.
Scroll down, you'll see. Yeah, bam.
Oh my
Hey,
God! You
I didn't
guys
know
can
you could
draw
do
my
that, Steven. That's
screen.
awesome.
That is going to be wonderful that
Been
everybody.
too many client calls. No, the left. No, the left. The left. The left. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so you're saying I can click here then?
Yeah.
Edit?
Yep, you sure can. And then
There you go.
you just uncheck the new up at the top
Yep.
if you wanted to disable the old one.
Yeah. And then what? Click down here. One of these things. One of these chumpies.
Click here. Oh wait, no, we should have that button available.
Tell me, where is it?
Made. Hang on, I'm
It
trying
might
to.
be. It was an action, so it should be on the action, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe to do it this way, you need to make it as a button then.
All right, let's go back here real quick.
It might just have to be
You could still
fresh.
do it as an action and then just add it through your page layout and do it that way. And since you took new off, that's another way to go. But
Yeah, but it would have to be on the list view if I'm creating a new one. Like I wouldn't do that from a page layout because that would mean I would be clicking
may
it
have to
from
do
like
a-
an existing.
maybe you got to do a
Button.
button, not an action. Sorry.
All right, let's try that. So new button or link. And yeah, because here I'm familiar. It's got like the little radio button that says like where do you want this thing to display? So
Yeah.
that would be a list button.
What's nice
and
with the
then-
list button is you could have two of them, and if you had two record types, you could have a button for each record type, and you could press it, and you could pass in the record type and your URL to your. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. But
But how? But I can't.
So this is
URL.
interesting.
do
Yeah.
URL.
No, you have to get
Yeah.
the flow URL, and you can do it that way.
Yeah, and then you paste the flow URL, and that's your.
Okay, so if I was a flow, where would I find my URL from?
I think it's
Cheers.
slash. It's been a minute. I have to look at one. I think it's
I can't remember either.
slash
If-
flow slash.
If you
flow
go to
name,
the
right?
flow page and click view versions on the flow
Yes.
page, and it's like one of the properties of it.
Okay, so if I go here, you're saying I can go to that flow and click on the show versions and options or whatever
Yeah.
that little setting is. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks. And we didn't even get to your question.
it's the little drop down arrow on the right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for Bill's question.
Yeah, my questions are the low priority one, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, so from here, what do I
See,
do
it's
here?
on the right. Your
Up where it says
URL.
URL.
Yeah, so you just paste that in there as your
Okay.
URL and your button.
No, Salesforce is smart enough to add that as a
Well, you
add all
want-
the other.
It wants a label.
Ew.
Good job V2. Whatever.
Mhm.
Save.
Yeah, I don't do it all the time, so you kind of got to feel around as the you know how it is with Salesforce.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's and then I got to go back into
Yeah, now you go to your
this
list view
guy.
button layout.
Okay, then we edit this chumpy right here.
And so I've seen people
And-
actually name it new and use that to replace the new, but you don't have to.
I've done that.
Yeah. Where the heck? Oh, save is down here. That's the other thing too. Why is save and
Why
cancel
isn't it
there? But in
consistent?
other places, it's like top and bottoms, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Just
So and
make
then
sure-
I can refresh here with my Rabbit Wizard, and then I can go to. So in theory, if I label this as new, I can click that, and it would take me to this screen that would have my form or whatever I had put into my flow. Okay, I'll buy that for $1.
You just did my
Um,
job. I'm gonna look so good this week.
Now,
I've done this a few times.
yeah, I guess the what I was thinking though is I guess if I were to go here to actions, I always thought that there was a way here like under new, I can click like edit, like the standard one, and then I thought there was something like I could override it. But I guess you
Only
have to override it with Visual Force. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
So in theory, you could override it with Visual Force, and then your Visual Force calls the screen-based flow. That might be a thing. Or you
Yeah,
could
I
do it
guess,
with
or
a
a
Lightning
Lightning component.
component. Yeah.
And
Okay.
then you can make a new action that you replace, and it's actually an action to a create action that creates a record, and then it can have its own page layout and everything. It has
Yeah.
its own layout. That's more standard. But if you wanted to guide them through a flow, you just do that button and guide them through a flow.
or if you
Action.
don't know how to do Visual Force pages.
Yeah. Yeah, Visual Force is old school. We shouldn't be creating any more of those these days, I think. But anyway, we have 2 minutes left, and sorry for that tangent, but Matt, what do you got as far as your question? I'm sorry to cut you short.
I'll ask quickly. We're looking at stuff to connect Salesforce to NetSuite, and the two candidates are Boomi, which is just kind of like Zapier, and Celigo, which is actually a NetSuite product. And I just wanted to see if anybody had experience with either of those, good or bad or otherwise.
The only connector I know about is Breadwinner, and I guess that they're pretty good too. We're one of their partners, but I've never done any of their NetSuite stuff. I've only done their connections to other financial stuff.
And what's that one called?
Breadwinner. I can send you a link.
Breadwinner. Thank you.
I'll send you their contact information.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? I have no experience with NetSuite, so I can't speak to them.
Are you on the Slack channel for this?
I think so.
Okay. Because I'll need your email and stuff so I can send you all the stuff I got.
All right. If anybody's not part of Slack, I just do the invitation in chat. All right. So we are essentially out of time. I have a hard stop at 1 o'clock. So I think we'll probably end it there. So appreciate everybody joining. I guess just a quick preview. The question I had is every couple of days I get hundreds of contacts created in my Salesforce work. I have no idea where they're coming from. I've looked at all the automation, all the batch Apex, all the schedule triggered flows. I've looked at the scheduled jobs, Apex jobs. I looked at Pardot. I've looked everywhere I can possibly imagine, and I cannot figure out where these contacts are coming from. So that's the mystery that I've been trying to solve lately. And there's no rhyme or reason. Different times on different days, just hundreds of contacts appear, and then overnight my deduplicifying contact process picks them up and merges them. But they get created every couple of days, and I don't know why. So if anybody has any thoughts, hit me up on Slack, which I just posted the invite link if you're not a part of that. But otherwise, I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll catch up next week. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.